Welcome, friends,
to the How to Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
I'm Uncle Dan.
I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear, that's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles, and with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields.
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Well, uncles.
Howdy do.
Hello.
Attention, uncles.
Dateline Uncles.
This is an alert. Episode 105. Hot off the presses. So, wow. This is the show of shows, as far as I'm concerned.
Your show of shows.
That's right. And,
Yes.
and this episode of The How to Heretic is brought to us by the good people at Purdue Pharma. That's right. Purdue Pharma. We put the evil cabal in pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
Surprised they have any money left over to... maybe that's how they're avoiding the settlement, is by funneling money to the How to Heretic.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
We told them we're a non-profit.
We are an offshore slush fund for anybody that's curious. Please. We're better than the Turks and Caicos Islands. Just funnel your money to us via Patreon.
Put your money in here and watch it hide and disappear.
Yes.
So yeah, today we got some fun things to talk about.
I'm going to start us off. Every time I don't want to talk about Mormonism, they pull me back in.
You always want to talk about
the Mormonism Today segment.
Hooray.
Yeah. And I'm going to service up a very sad and weird and damning meal. So I hope you stick around for that.
Delicious. And I am going to do a Hozier concert. So we'll see how that goes.
That's okay. I just got that. Excellent. Yes, it's a very good reference, but we can't afford to pay for the rights to that. So
That's
just
correct.
look it up separately on YouTube all by yourselves. And
Yes, indeed.
let's jump into all the insanity of episode 105.
Let's do it.
Hee hee.
You know, Uncle Dan.
Yo.
It's funny, there's something so, just something about Mormonism that's so affirming.
Hey, there's an entire Mormon organization called Affirmation.
That's true. That's true. And it's just, they're always on the right side of everything. And
That's what I like about Mormonism is they're so on the cutting edge. They're the front lines of all of the social issues.
That's right. They're all about pronouns. So, Doug, why don't you tell us their latest kind of pronoun conundrum?
Well, uncles, given the fact, longtime listeners will surely know that given the fact that we live well behind enemy lines and live our lives deep in the heart of Mormon country, and given the fact that we all three spent our formative years as Mormons, that sometimes we talk about all things Mormon.
Yeah.
However, somehow we have managed to avoid this subject for quite a while. In fact, by my count, we haven't talked about anything Mormon for, let me see, carry the one, 3 episodes.
Okay,
so,
wow.
That's a record for us.
We
might be.
We may have just set a record.
And the Mormon Church apparently noticed this drought and decided to make sure that they continue to garner the much-needed publicity that this podcast affords them. So, to set the mood for what we're about to talk about, put yourself in the mindset of the current Mormon leadership. This obviously makes you a very old white man from the desert southwest that spent most of your life thinking that black people were cursed by God and continue to believe that women have been getting mighty uppity since they got the vote, and that scissoring is gross, although for some reason it keeps showing up in your wife's internet search history. Although, can I just toss out Uncle Mark's joke from episode 96 that no man knows my search history?
Yeah, we're going to start selling that as a cleansing service for
just one of those jokes that needs to be remembered. Yeah, that's awesome.
Hashtag no man knows my search. No man knows my search history.
That is a super inside joke that I want to explain to all of our non-Mormon listeners. There is a book called No Man Knows My History, and it's about Joseph Smith and blah blah blah. So just so you all get it, I thought we'd throw that.
Yeah.
The Mark
The
and
best
Doug like
jokes
to
are
keep
the
things
best jokes
inside.
are the ones that needed to be explained. So
They
enjoy
require an episode of explanation.
Right. And that will be next episode where we'll just dig deep into that joke.
So back to the Mormon mindset.
Okay.
As you look out upon your empire, you cannot help but to feel a certain kind of satisfaction. Sure, your growth numbers are abysmal. The CES letter and that one episode of South Park have done more damage to your religion than the U.S. Army or any angry mob from Missouri ever could. But it's not all bad.
Yeah.
Right? Your real estate holdings, the only real reason this faith still exists, are doing fine.
Are doing great.
Your shopping malls are cranking. With the current makeup of the federal government, you are free to engage in all the politics you want without fear of paying taxes. And to that end, your bought and paid for state legislature is busy fulfilling your will by thwarting the will of the people.
Yeah.
So, however, something is bothering you. It's just an itch you cannot ignore, and you know deep down you're going to have to deal with it eventually. In spite of all the liquid cash flowing tax-free into your coffers, you can't help but think, no one is talking about how shockingly retrograde and bigoted we really are. I mean, it's crazy how backward and dangerous our beliefs are, and how much damage they continue to cause, and no one's talking about it. Back in April, we got the tongues a-wagging when we rescinded the November policy, but since then, people have kind of forgotten how actively shitty we are. Somebody needs to do something about that. And that somebody is me, Russel M. Nelson, the 95-year-old top skexy in charge of this real estate religion. So, back in episode 81, we talked about the rescinding of the church's so-called November policy. So, just a very quick recap. The leader of the church at the time, Thomas S. Monson, instituted a policy in 2015.
Yeah, he came out of his delirium
His
for
stupor.
15 minutes
For
and
real.
decided that Jesus told him to do this.
And this policy took out his vile disdain for gay and transgender adults on their children, barring these children from full participation in the church unless and until they denounced their parents and moved out. No shit.
Yeah. It's yep.
Yeah, so after 41 months of pressing their palm down as hard as they could on the hot stove, and after medical science could no longer keep Monson's lack of a heart beating, the church rescinded the policy. And while less harm is better than more harm, there was a flurry of negative publicity for the church since this all reminded everyone about the policy in the first place.
Well, and also pointed out distinctly to those who cared to bother to look that, God told you to do one thing, and then months later, less than 2 years later, told you to stop doing that thing.
And it wasn't like church is 2 hours, not 3 hours.
Right.
This was actively harmful.
This was,
Well, since then, some of the dust has settled, and were the church able to simply keep their mouth shut, perhaps even more dust would settle, as this vile policy slipped further down the memory hole to take its place next to the church's many other abandoned evil policies. But since it is long-standing church policy to never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity, they decided to remind us all once again.
Sometimes it's good to kick yourself in the face. You never know.
Exactly. That rake's not going to step on itself.
There's no such thing as bad press, apparently.
So, just days ago, Russel M. Nelson, and the M, by the way, in a very weird coincidence, stands for Melania, journeyed 45 minutes to the south to give a speech at the main madrasa of Mormonism, that is Brigham Young University. This speech, which was a preview for the church's general conference coming up in October,
I hope you folks have your tickets.
They're doing previews for that shit now.
Yeah.
Nelson laid out 5 truths that he wanted his flock to ponder. Truth number 1, we are all a son or daughter of God.
Hooray!
Truth number 2, truth is truth.
That's a good one. That needed to be stated.
Truth number 3, God loves everyone with perfect love. Pause. Truth number 4, prophets and apostles communicate God's love and teach his laws.
Oh, goodness.
Truth number 5, all people may know for themselves what is true and what is not. What? Now, let me just give the how-to heretic snap rebuttal to these 5 truths. No, we weren't. That's a stupid thing to say. No, he most certainly does not. No, you don't. No shit, Sherlock. All right, moving on. If any of our Nevermo listeners are unconvinced by our characterization of this cult as pure, uncut, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs insanity, search Russel M. Nelson and the Love and Laws of God speech and watch 5 minutes of this unnerving dreck, and then come back and apologize becoming a patron. I watched this thing in its entirety, and you owe me. So, we're going to get to what made this speech particularly egregious in just a second, but even leaving that aside, there were, of course, the run-of-the-mill crazy pearls such as these, quote, "You are the children whom God chose to be part of his battalion during this great climax in the long-standing battle between good and evil. I would not be surprised if, when the veil is lifted in the next life, we learn that you actually pled with our Heavenly Father to be reserved for now. I would not be surprised to learn that premortally you love the Lord so much you promise to defend his name and gospel during the world's tumultuous winding up scenes.
Oh my God, that is so perfectly Mormon.
So Mormon.
Oh
And
my God,
do you guys remember?
idea, I think he covered all of the bases with that.
Yeah.
Pre-existence. Oh, that's good stuff.
That's yum, 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 yum.
Do you guys remember when we talked about patriarchal blessings back in episode what the fuck ever? And you know, something that happened a lot when I was a kid so patriarchal blessings, Nevermo listeners, I'm so sorry, are these basically it's a tarot reading by some old creeper in your neighborhood
Without cards.
Without cards and just some shaky cold hand. But a lot of the kids I knew who were like falling away from the church, as most of us were, you know, your parents would give this guy some prompts, and it was basically like, oh, you sang at the nativity, you were an angel in the sky at the nativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is the same fucking coercion. It's because they're hemorrhaging young people. So it's like, you are the last and the great hope of this church. You will be the warriors on the wall.
You volunteered for the toughest job there is.
You're so special.
Look at how great
You're so
you are.
It is
look
so
look at your
fucking coercive.
bravery.
Yeah.
So here's another little nugget from the speech. Quote, the arbiter of truth is God, not your favorite social media feed, not Google, and certainly not those who are disaffected from the church. Hi, Russell. It's good to know you're a listener.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I love that. I love it because they have at various moments in LDS history tried to dissuade people from going onto the onlines, onto the internet,
Right.
the webs, the various and sundry Facebooks and whatever, including telling the women, specifically the women,
To take a break.
to take a 1 week fast from Facebook.
I think it was 10 days, wasn't it? They did
Oh,
take
yeah.
a 10
Oh, sure.
Day, yeah, a 10
Yeah,
day
it's
fast.
a
Just
bit-
the women.
Just the women, but like, what the fuck? No.
It's the men who are looking at all the porn in Utah County. There are statistics for this.
Exactly.
Well, that's, I mean, they can't tell the men to stop looking at the porn. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So let's get to the heat of the meat, in which Nelson tries, and spoiler alert, fails, to justify and explain the short-lived November policy. I hate to do this, but I've got to quote him at length here, so
Okay.
just bear with me.
Let me know
Do
when
the
you're
voice.
done. Call me when you're done.
Yeah, right.
I'll put my headphones back on.
And everybody, as Doug reads this, I want you to picture, I'm not sure if it's Statler or Waldorf because I get them mixed up.
Just take your pick.
Just oh, you know who it is. It's actually, and I hate Jeff Dunham, but it's Jeff Dunham's old man puppet.
Yeah, for real.
He looks exactly like that.
Yeah.
So if you,
know,
can
I think
picture that,
I think he looks like you buried Bob Newhart in a pet cemetery.
if you took the crypt keeper and gave him like Beverly Hills best skin treatment.
Yeah, and you also have to picture this person speaking in front of like deep space, a starless it's this black background.
Oh,
It's very,
I like
very
it.
weird.
I like it. Very, how Apple of them.
Right, yeah. Okay, so let's go. He starts out by setting the stage and laying out the church's baseline bigotry. So, quote, for example, let's consider the definition of marriage. In recent years, many countries, including the United States, have legalized same-sex marriage. As members of the church, we respect the laws of the land and abide by them, including civil marriage. The truth is, however, that in the beginning, marriage was ordained by God. Emphasis was his. And to this day, it is defined by him as being between a man and a woman. All right, so here we go. Hooray.
This is very shaky ground for Mormons to tread upon, but
Right?
Yeah.
Mormonism, inventors of non-traditional marriage.
For real.
in these United States, yes.
He goes on. Though we of the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 apostles cannot change the laws of God, we do have the charge to build up the church and regulate all its affairs of the same in all nations. Thus, we can adjust policy when the Lord directs us to. You have recently seen such examples. Because the restoration is ongoing, policy changes will surely continue. He goes on. Perhaps I can illustrate this through policy adjustments regarding those who identify themselves as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, LGBT, and their children. And then he says, I realized that other initials could be added to this acronym, but LGBT would suffice for the purposes of this message.
Oh, good. He's conscious of all of the different acronyms.
Pronouns, I told you, these people, they're super woke.
Yeah, exactly. The chill you just felt run up your spine was caused by a 95-year-old bigot trying to sound woke while vilifying a population.
Yeah.
This does mark, however, the first time a church president has uttered that acronym. So, progress.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
In order to express a more specific hatred for it, but credit where credit is due.
Progress.
Yeah.
So, he goes on, consider the policy announced in November 2015 related to the advisability of baptism for the children of LGBT parents. Our concern then, and one we discussed at length and prayed about fervently over a long period of time, was to find a way to reduce friction between gay and lesbian parents and their children.
Suck a bag of dicks, you lying fuck.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
We got to keep plowing on. Quote, because parents are the primary exemplars for their children, we did not want to put young children in the position of having to choose between the beliefs and behavior they learned at home and what they were being taught at church. We wanted to facilitate harmony in the home and avoid pitting children and parents against each other. Thus, in 2015, the policy was made to assist children and their parents in these circumstances. Namely, that children being raised by LGBT parents would not automatically be eligible for baptism at 8. Exceptions to this policy would require First Presidency approval. The First Presidency and Quorum of the 12 have continued to seek the Lord's guidance and plead with him in behalf of his children who were affected by the 2015 policy. We knew that this policy created concern and confusion for some and heartache for others. That grieved us. Whenever the sons and daughters of God weep, for whatever reasons, we weep. So supplication to the Lord continued. Okay, there's one little more paragraph here. Hang on tight. Though it may not have looked this way to some, the 2015 and 2019 policy adjustments on this matter were both motivated by love. The love of our Heavenly Father for his children, and the love of the brethren for those whom they serve. Fuck you. Fuck you all the way up.
And fuck your sense of what love looks like.
Right. Yeah, and there's nothing more enraging than the sanitized syntax of corporate bigotry. You know?
Well, the idea that we wanted to reduce friction. First of all, we didn't want to cause dissonance between what was being taught in the home and taught at church. The presumption there being what's being taught at church
supersedes
whatever's being taught in the home.
Exactly.
Well, but also
dear God, that's insane.
Also, the presumption that first of all, we're talking about a weird situation here.
Yeah.
Which is that the situation where in a household with gay parents, the child is somehow wanting to go to church. Like we're talking about a very strange, and the parents are down for that.
Right.
That's a gay parenting fail.
That is 100% a fail on the part of these gay parents.
Yes.
However, so it's we're talking about a fairly rare situation anyway, but it is bizarre to think that I guess he's right when you think about it, that there would be conflict between what they're seeing at home and what they're hearing at church.
Yeah.
And that would be confusing for the child. And I think that should actually have been the problem of the gay parents and not the problem of the church.
Right.
But when the church decided to solve that problem, boy, did they shit on their own coffee.
Right. Here's the thing. It's just cruelty. I know he's trying to dress it up now in this, the child-raising version of you have to destroy the village in order to save it. That means love. But it's just cruelty. It was just meant to be mean.
And for whatever reasons, whether it was actual human empathy, which I somewhat doubt, or if it was just bad publicity, which I'm almost certain it was, they decided they'd gone too far.
Yeah.
So fine. But the longer you justify this by claiming it was divinely inspired, the more damage you do.
Yeah.
You want this to go away? You want this black eye to heal? You can. You just have to say it out loud. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Yes. We fucked up.
We're sorry.
We denounced the policy.
Yeah.
We denounced Thomas S. Monson. We're not more than mere men.
Well,
and we can do dumb things.
They don't even have to denounce him. They just have to say, look, this is a thing that happens every now and then. All they have to say is, our prophets, and this is their the actual like official position of the church, which is prophets are human, they make mistakes sometimes.
Right.
So no, there weren't men on the moon the way Joseph Smith and Brigham Young both said there were. And sometimes it just happens, and we made a mistake, and we're sorry.
That's the workaround they invented for Joseph Smith's child fucking and Brigham Young's racism was, well, sometimes they're just men.
Yeah, exactly.
Except that then they double down.
Exactly.
And he fucking says, "Oh no, we only teach love, and we only teach what's right."
Stop.
And believe me, I'm your prophet.
Stop saying that there was any divinity in this. Just it was a mistake. And admit it was a mistake, and here's the other thing you have to do. Apologize.
Yeah.
You apologize for the damage you've done. You should funnel some of that tax-free dough to suicide prevention programs rather than reparative therapy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. This is actually the easiest thing, except that, you know what happened? The church fired their huge New York-based PR firm a while back that was doing wonders for them. I didn't read about this. You can see it.
Yeah.
Like they were doing great for a while, and they had all of these campaigns that were really building a lot of goodwill in the world.
And I'm a Mormon.
Yeah, and I'm a Mormon was a great one. Like all of these things, and then they clearly just stopped with that and started. I mean, it was back when they thought Mitt was going to be prophet or president. Prophet.
Same difference.
Same diff.
Same diff. And so it's clear that they're just, well, that didn't work. Well, he didn't make it, so fuck it. And then now they're just
when they found out that the PR firm of Borstein Eisenstein was a bunch of Jews, they panicked.
And they've been trying to pedal their bike backwards ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, look, church, because you're listening, admit it was a mistake, apologize for it, and while you're at it, why don't you try and repair some of the damage by maybe paying damages to some of the families of kids who committed suicide or tried to commit suicide because of his policy. And while we're in this hypothetical, admit the whole thing was made up and give all your ill-gotten gains to charity.
Yeah, right.
So short of that, you can please to be shutting the fuck up about things.
And so this is something I've always said about Mormonism. It's true also of a lot of religion, but certainly it was the case in Mormonism. What Nelson did in that BYU devotional is one of the most insidious things they do, which is the inversion of language, right?
Yeah,
totally. Most Mormons live a life of incredible servility and toil, and their lives just consumed by hours spent, doing church activities, even cleaning the toilets of the church for free, and they call that happiness. Whereas, saying all of this brutality and hatred and all these things they've opened up against, especially LGBTQI kids, all this violence, calling that love is fucking despicable.
Mark, I'd like to. I don't mean to correct you, but LGBTQ is plenty.
That's right. The prophet said so, didn't he?
You don't need to go on with any other letters.
In fact, according to the prophet, we're dropping the Q.
Oh, it's just LGBT?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you need. Enough with the other letters are just superfluous.
They're gobbling up all the other letters for middle initials.
Yeah. Oh my God! It is this church is I think our focus on it is because obviously it's the nearest and least dearest to us, but also it's an interesting little microcosm that kind of spells things out, it's writ large in all of these other religions. It happens in all of them.
Yeah.
But they're such bumbling doofuses.
Yeah.
That we get it's so much more obvious when they fuck up.
Yeah.
And the same thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it's like when astronomers see a black hole forming, right? There's plenty of older black holes they can look at, but you learn a lot watching a black hole form, and because it's in the same way Scientology is a new black hole. Mormonism is just a bit tiny bit older than that. So you can learn so much about how these other things, these things that suck all kind of intelligence and hope out of the world, how they work when you watch Mormonism kind of fumble through its first couple centuries in real time.
It's not really fun watching a stable black hole. You really want to watch that black hole that's struggling.
Yeah.
And shrinking.
Catholicism is boring at this point. You got to go Mormon. All
It
right,
just sucked
well,
for a long time.
thanks, Uncle Doug. We appreciate you bumming us out with Mormonism.
Anytime.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
Hey, Uncle Doug.
Hello.
You hungry?
I'm always hungry. Look at me. Don't look at me.
No, you don't look like
Thank
a guy
God this
who's.
is an audio medium.
You don't look like a guy who's been starving himself.
I
I'll say that.
haven't missed a meal in over 40 years.
Well, I hear there's a new snack that's all the rage.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
guys.
I know nothing about it. Uncle Mark's here to fill us in on all the deets.
Is it ketos?
Is that like
it's-
Cheetos, but they're keto?
No, it's some diet.
Yeah, there's the keto diet.
Keto diet.
But I
It's
think
Cheetos made of meat.
Yeah.
You have to be a libertarian misogynist to eat it, apparently.
you go into ketosis and then just a coma.
Well, I if you guys are hungry, I'm wondering, if you would like a nice meal or a snack.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking something fallish. If you've got something pumpkin spice,
Well, maybe we have some Spanish tapas.
oh, that sounds nice.
Or I'm here in Chinatown in Vancouver. Maybe you'd like a spicy Szechuan dish.
Ooh.
Or how about a regionally appropriate hearty potato-based casserole of the kind you might find over to a Mormon potluck or funeral?
Oh.
Hell yeah.
We love all those. Or how about a dry chunk of bread that contains every transgression a person ever made in their life that sat for a cold minute on their still dead chest in their coffin, and the family of the deceased stands grimly by while you silently eat it. How about that? Table for three.
Okay, it sounds good, but I feel like there's a catch.
There must be more. So, who wouldn't like that, guys? And as crazy as it might sound, that was a real thing practiced not all that long ago by persons of a very specific profession called, almost too perfectly, sin eaters. So,
yes.
I know our friends and our own not-so-distant ancestors from the ever more detached by the day Brexiting British Isles like to think of themselves as the very paragons of civilized modernity. But it's important to remember that so very many weird and wonderful things come from that soggy, superstitious turf in the North Atlantic. The Druids, of course, the Loch Ness Monster, Aleister Crowley, the Chicken of Bristol, and even Boris Johnson. And to that list of curiosities...
I thought Boris Johnson's nickname was the Chicken of Bristol. Is that are they not the same person?
And according to that list, it's getting worse.
Yeah. He's the cabbage of slow. So add to that list of strange curiosities the not so honorable profession of sin eating. So in the various flavors of Protestant Christianity the people of the British Isles practiced, much like Catholicism then and now, confession of one's sins just before death was the only guarantee of avoiding an unpleasant eternity of being on fire. But there were always those who, for whatever reason, could not summon the vicar in time to confess that they saw something nasty in the woodshed. So, what of their precious souls? Which is very hard to say. Precious souls. So,
Apparently.
that is why God invented poor people, dummy. See? If your auntie who lived on the edge of the bog in 17th century Scotland or Wales suddenly shuffled off her prim mortal coil without a priest to seal the deal, you would all worriedly gather over her corpse at the funeral, summon some poor, ragged outcast person from the edge of town to eat a piece of bread, drink some beer or wine from a wooden bowl while you all stood there and silently watched them do it.
Are they taking applications?
Yeah, right.
As I mentioned, the bread was placed on the chest of the deceased, and the wine or beer would be poured into the bowl, then passed over the corpse before being consumed by the sin eater.
Huh.
This was sometimes called the beggar's meal, because in most cases the sin eater was beggar poor, so they were absolutely destitute.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That was the then equivalent to going down to the Home Depot to get someone to help you work on the. It's just
That's right. Sin eaters just stood outside the fucking cemetery. So they might say a word or two about absolution after this happened. It kind of depends on the account, and it seems on whether or not the family invited them to do it.
Interesting.
And then they were given today's equivalent of a couple bucks and quickly shown out the door. What they did to earn that meager meal of $2 was taking the entirety of that person's lifetime of sin upon their own soul, making it heavier and heavier with each funerary meal they consumed. That's how shitty this idea is, right? So one can only imagine the reaction of Ammit, the Egyptian god who weighs the hearts of the dead against a feather in her scales, upon having to weigh the heart of a sin-eater with maybe hundreds of lifetimes of sin cached within. Can you imagine the look on her crocodile face? Classic.
I love the idea. Did they tell this poor homeless person what they were getting in return for the glass of wine? I love the idea of not telling them.
Yeah, come on.
Listen,
to eat.
If you're a beggar on the streets, you know already there's no God. There's no, you already know there's no sin. This is bullshit. My life sucks too bad for this to be real. Exactly. Sure, wealthy person, I'll eat your mother's sins. Ooh.
Well, you also know, you had to know in Victorian Britain that if you were poor and being invited into a rich person's house, there was no good reason for that.
Exactly.
That was not ever going to work out for you.
Yeah, best case scenario is to get a bunch of sins and wine out of it. Worst case,
right, and take a shit on their rug as you leave.
Exactly. Worst case, you're getting hunted on an island.
But I do like the part about not telling them that's what's happening. It's kind of like Get Out mixed with Downton Abbey.
That is a mashup that needs to happen.
I'm sure Netflix has already greenlit it. So.
Can one of you say "Get Out" in an angry dowager's voice?
Can I say it in anything but?
So sin eating was not an official church doctrine or belief, you may be inclined to ask. And in fact, it was considered an attempt by man to intervene in the affairs of God, and therefore considered heresy. But most clergy found a way to look the other way when a sin eater was summoned, because for distraught family, this kind of folk belief was so critical for them to the importance of their loved one's soul. So though it was frowned upon, it seems like it was not actively attacked by the religious authorities, which is a first in religious authorities. Now, we can chat at length about the notion of sin generally and how insidious a concept it is, and brilliant but diabolical means of creating a self-policing populace through guilt and shame for what is mostly thought crime. We'll talk about that another time. But since sin is basically moot, because there is no eternal performance review after your inevitable fatal heart attack, sin actually does not weigh on your heart nor get stored up in your tissues. So if you were a poor person in the 17th or 18th century Britain, and most people were, why not look forward to the obituaries every day to see where to get your next free meal and a few bucks? Why not take advantage of the asshole Christian upper classes?
Yeah.
Well, because Christians are many things, but mostly shitty. The thanks you got for the tremendous service of, and this is seriously, the tremendous service of saving their loved one's soul from eternal damnation by hoovering up every bad thing they'd ever done was no thanks at all. Sin eaters may already have been looked down upon because of their poverty in hyper-classist Britain, but they were despised as social and spiritual pariahs because, all the sin they ate. Gross.
Right.
So you know how bad it must have been for someone already on life's tattered edge to take this fucking job?
Yeah.
Like, a free meal every week or two and everybody fucking hates me? Where do I sign up?
Right. Oh, thank you. You saved my mother from eternal damnation. Now,
fuck you.
You're disgusting. I never want to talk. Look at all the sin you've done, you pervert.
Well, technically, they knew exactly what their mother had done, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So, interestingly, the 18th to early 20th century United Kingdom was not the only time and place that the concept of someone consuming or absorbing other people's crimes against the gods has been practiced. In the Aztec civilization, Tlatzolteotl, the earth and fertility goddess, would absolve you of your sin by eating your filth if you confessed to her before death.
Ooh, that's nice of her.
And of course, it's super nice of her. The Aztecs. What we know about the Aztec civilization, niceness. And of course, we know Jewish tradition, pardon me, has a couple of nifty workarounds for handing your sins off to someone of lesser standing in the community. Because the genius of Judaism is a lot of laws and a lot of clever ways around them.
Yeah. If there's one thing the Jews can do, it's find a loophole.
Right. But since goats and chickens can't consent, is that better or worse than paying a poor person a couple bucks to go to hell for you? Let me explain. As we explored in episode 9, when Doug broke down all the wonders of Leviticus for us, the scapegoat was a real goat, not an unpopular someone in your office you blame for a thing they surely didn't do. In oldie-timey Palestine, a scapegoat was a random goat. All the sins of the community would be somehow Venmo'd to, who would then be pushed out into the wilderness, a pariah just like our humble sin eater, but without even a crust of bread for their troubles. And in ongoing, oh, that's fucking awful, please stop that news, our listeners in Brooklyn might be familiar with the ghastly Hasidic tradition of kaparot.
Yes.
Where one's sins are passed into a chicken of one's own gender. I didn't know it was gender specific.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Roosters for men, hens for women. That's just how God intended, obviously. And then you spin it over your head, after which it's butchered all kosher-like on a city street in front of the children.
Yeah.
So that's extremely fucked up.
It's horrifying. They are just abusing a chicken and then like pouring its blood all over the street in the middle of a big city.
And they do this in New York. It's crazy.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, yeah. And
by the way, I just Googled kaparot because I was thinking about it, and one of the headlines I found was kaparot in full swing on Jerusalem streets.
Oh no.
Considering what they do to those chickens, I found that hilarious.
Fun. And of course, fellas, can you recall the most famous sin eater of all? That's right. Jesus H. Tap Dancing Christ himself. Unless you're lucky enough to have never heard of this particular sanctimonious, holier-than-thou scapegoat, Jesus, of the Mary and Joseph of Nazareth Jesuses, is one of the three heads of the one true tri-headed God who sacrificed himself to eat up all of everybody's sins forever, except he was actually a God himself, therefore he was really unkillable, and bad news, you can still sin. So this whole pretend human sacrifice to make you feel bad for some reason didn't even fucking work. So
right.
I hope that cleared things up for y'all.
Point of order, he's escaped lamb.
He's escaped lamb.
Womp, womp.
The story of Jesus' human sacrifice and the taking of the Eucharist and or sacrament are a perfect example of ancient traditions in Judaism and Christianity about blood and food magic. A concept that sin eating is also part of.
Yeah.
So this is the notion that a transference of spiritual or magical energy can be delivered through consuming food or blood. We discussed the cannibalistic Catholic Eucharist in episode 24, and yes, the Catholic sacrament is magical cannibalism, not symbolic communion. And in fact, straight up real-ass man-eating cannibalism, as practiced in some parts of the world, was based on the idea that the cannibal would inherit the virtues and strengths of the former owner of their man meal. So, sin eating, while a rather rare thing, was very much in keeping with one of the most quotidian common ideas in the Christian religious canon, the sacrament or food blood magic, right?
Well, and also I don't want to jump on what you're doing, but it's inherited from a long line of traditions of wealthy people buying their way out of sin. Like there are all of these ways that have, as long as there have been wealthy people and poor people, wealthy people have had a way in all of the religious traditions of getting out of their eternal problems.
A habit that continues to this day.
To this day, absolutely.
I mean, when we talked about Moloch a few weeks back, children were sacrificed to Moloch, and rich people would buy poor children to sacrifice instead of their own.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's what you do.
It's a dance as old as time. So, that's all fucking weird and ancient and creepy, and I think it's important that everybody knows the roots of such common, almost blasé ideas about a little wine and a tasteless little cracker every Sunday, or in Mormon country, an even more tasteless sacrament of Wonder Bread and water. It comes from the idea of human sacrifice, cannibalism, and blood and food magic, which should be equal parts repulsive and ridiculous to us all. But I want to end on a sort of happy note. I want to talk for a second about a particular sin eater, perhaps the last sin eater, and an almost happy ending. Avid listeners will know that's not my brand, but here goes. So, Sin eating in Britain was most common in an area called the Welsh Marches. Now, Doug and I have been there. It's beautiful, hilly, green country. Maybe you have too, Dan, on the English-Welsh border.
I haven't been to Wales yet.
Oh, it's beautiful. Wales is so beautiful.
Soon.
Yeah, get there real soon, because after Brexit, God only knows. Anyway.
No, after Brexit, it'll be cheap.
That's true.
Well, after Brexit, it's probably going to be Welsh exit from Britain. So anyway, it was most common in that area. But even in the mid-19th century, sin eating was petering out in that border area, and especially in a county called Shropshire. So it was that until a sad, well-to-do gentleman farmer brought it back. His name? Richard Munslow. As we've established, British sin eaters were on the lowest rung of a strictly vertical class society. So why would a member of Munslow's class, which was kind of upper middle merchant class, engage in such a bizarre, loathsome profession? It seems the poor man lost 4 children, 3 of them in a single week for some awful reason I could not find, which, to paraphrase Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, smacks of carelessness. So, this profoundly grieving, broken man apparently found some solace in easing the mourning of others by consuming the sins of their loved ones. Is that weird? Yes. But was it charitable in a God-bothered, death-obsessed Victorian hellscape where Munslow lived and invited derision by doing this work for people? I think you could say it's a pretty charitable thing to have done, even though it's all fake.
Yeah.
So cutting to the chase, the massive sin dumpster, Munslow died in 1906. He was buried in the local churchyard without fanfare, and for almost 100 years his lonely grave went unvisited and unattended until it fell into ruin. But around 2005, the good people of Shropshire decided to do right by Munslow, the last sin eater. So they raised enough money to have his grave restored by a local stoneworker, and to raise money to have it looked after. So, who says dreams don't come true? But for real, I think it's cool that a community looked back at a less enlightened part of its history and decided to embrace it in such an open way. And that, fellas, is about as happy an ending to a story as I have yet mustered on this little program. And what is the moral? What's that?
No, I said The Last Sin Eater. Sounds like a movie on Netflix.
I want that movie, though. About that guy? I want that movie.
There is a horrible movie with Heath Ledger called The Sin Eater. Oh, no, it's not called The Sin Eater. It's about a sin eater. But anyway, it's this hilariously bad, like Dan Brown thing where he kicks, he discovers some fictional, horrible conspiracy at the Vatican, which is kind of hilarious because you don't need a fictional conspiracy at the Vatican. There's plenty of real ones.
You have to push all the actual ones aside.
Yeah, right. So what's the moral of the story? Sin from a religious standpoint is not a real thing. And it is a terrible and harmful construct. But if you do bad things, that's on you. And trying to make a poor person eat your bullshit is just another lie thrown on your guilty pile, Buster. So,
yeah.
That's it.
Take that,
motherfucker.
19th century British people.
Take that, Welsh motherfuckers.
All right. Well, on that note, let us move along.
Moving on.
Well, fellas.
Well, hello.
What a grand thing it is to be a podcaster in this modern age, in this era.
In this age of like virtual reality, to be doing an audio format is really something special.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be one of only 360 million people on the planet that has a podcast.
Indeed.
It's truly a unique thing.
Indeed. I will say podcasting did suck before the internet era, so at least it's much nicer now.
Yeah, handing out cassette tapes down at the mall wasn't exactly an effective form.
The lonely pamphleteer.
Do you want to listen to my reel-to-reel? I've got a wire recording. I think you're going to like it. I talk about my shoes.
People literally stood on a soapbox in the corner of a park and just shouted.
It's a good idea. It's a good thing that we're in the internet era because the three of us would definitely be taking up too many park corners.
The difference is now you can listen to that idiot on the soapbox in the park corner at 1.5 speed.
Yes, indeed. Ooh, or slow if you want them to sound drunk. Have you ever listened on 0.5? It's great.
No.
Everyone sounds drunk on 0.5 speed.
That's funny.
Anywho, we have some folks to thank because they appreciate what we're doing and they decided to give us their money, and we love that. So, thanks go to David, to Weston, the Quiznos Demon, and to Hannah. We thank you all so very, very much for your contributions to our programming, and want you to know that our hearts go to you. And if you, dear listener, who wasn't one of those people, would like for our hearts to go to you, that's pretty easy. All you have to do is go to the How to Heretic website, which is not it's just howtoheretic.com, and then just click on the Patreon thing, and it takes you there. You fill it out. You decide how much a week you want to give. It's all on you. It's in your hands.
Our affection is for sale.
Yes,
there
indeed.
There is no upper limit.
There is no upper limit. So get in there and give until you feel like it's way too much, and then just click one more digit at the end of that.
That's right.
Just slap on another zero.
And if you can't do that, slap on a bunch of stars anywhere you can. Your iTunes, your Stitcher. We are now on Spotify, which is something we just recently remedied. So give us some reviews over there. Just lie. We know you're lying. It's just how it is.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to love us 5 stars to give us 5 stars.
Right.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
5 stars are cool for hate too. So if you hate us, give us 5 stars. Don't read a lot of stuff. Just do it. So do that.
Exactly.
Make some sad old men happy. And with that, let us move on.
Okay, fine.
Well, Uncle Mark.
Yes.
A lot of what we talk about are ideas.
Yes.
But some of these ideas have a physical location.
Well, you've caught me in my favorite physical location on Sunday, which is my bed.
Okay, come on, you're on the turlet.
Which is naked on the turlet. We know exactly where Mark is.
Do you know every time you hear my voice on this podcast, it's from the toilet? Did you know that, listeners?
It's a little inside baseball there for you.
That means I have pooed 105 times as of this recording.
Total.
Yeah. Total. Yeah. I saved that magic for the air, baby.
Yeah, almost 50 years of not pooping, and then finally it all came out because of podcasting.
That explains Mormonism right there.
It's the magic of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. You know where none of us are today, gentlemen? At church.
That's right, guys.
Though it is very much the Sabbath, or at least we were raised to believe that Sundays. We record on Sundays, and we think of this as the Sabbath. Seventh-day Adventists, Jews, and Muslims may disagree, but we all know it's Sunday. Come on, guys.
It's pronounced Muslims.
The Muslims.
The Muslimin.
Anywho, listen, a couple weeks ago, Uncle Mark, you gave us a lovely little primer on setting healthy boundaries when you discussed cutting toxic people out of your life, even if they're your family. Well, today I wanted to dive into some dicey territory for many of us that can also be about boundaries and about personal choices and navigating conflicting feelings. Today I want to talk about going to church. Going to church, you ask, in a weird voice that I don't know why you're using. Why would we talk about that? Especially considering the show is all about what to do when you've stopped going to church. And so it is, mostly, but not entirely. First of all, there are plenty of people who have long since stopped believing, but for any number of reasons, continue to attend church. Yes. I have atheist friends who really enjoy Unitarian church, for example.
Yeah.
They get a mostly secular sermon about being a good person with very few references to any God, but lots of references to poetry, philosophy, that sort of thing.
And live music.
And they get to interact with other weirdos, and so there's a lot of positives there that they see. There are also lots of atheists in pews, basically because family or social ties are bringing them there. Their partner goes to church, and their kids go to church, or their parents go, or whatever. And often they feel obligated, or they just go with the flow. Sometimes they even feel like they're getting something out of it. So there you go. Yeah. However, those are not the people I want to talk about today. Today I want to reach out to people who, like me, and I assume you other uncles, and most sane non-believers, who have exactly zero interest in religious services. Well, actually, you know what? That's not exactly true. For me, I actually really enjoy occasionally attending various church services, in part because mostly because I find it fascinating and strange, and I get to play amateur psychologist and sociologist and anthropologist as I go and watch believers doing their thing. So I've been to mosques, I've been to Hindu ceremonies, I've attended at the Zen Center here in Salt Lake. I've been to all kinds of Catholic and Church of England.
You went to Burning Man
services. I've been to absolutely. Pentecostal is a really fun thing to do.
The Manti Miracle Pageant?
Sure, exactly. So I mean, I love it. I like watching belief in action and like sort of just taking a step back and going, wow, humanity is bizarre. But also I kind of relate it to my love of bad movies. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like you're watching a bad movie and sort of exploring that.
But as you said before, you're doing this completely voluntarily as an anthropological exercise.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And to see, cool architecture and whatever.
And if you don't like it, or it's not going well, or whatever, you just get up and walk out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It would be lovely if, as secular folks, the religious world just left us alone and kept their nonsense to themselves. But as Uncle Mark sort of hinted at, it is not that ideal world.
No.
That's just not how the place we live. I'm more than 20 years out of religion, and I'm the highest profile atheist that most of my friends and family know, and yet I still get invited to and am often expected to attend religious services of various kinds.
Ugh.
Right.
In Mormonism, that ends up being...
Please go back to our episode on estrangement to figure out how to deal with that. So
Right. It ends up being things like baptisms, baby blessings, various ordinations and whatever. And any number of other things that end up being very important rites of passage for family members. In other religions, that could mean weddings, confirmations, your various mitzvahs, bar and bat, or any number of kooky things that, whatever nutball your people associate with, come up with. So for many of us, it's not a big deal, a lot of people are just fine going to, a service because their nephew's having a thing or, being baptized or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always that easy. For some, there's very real trauma associated with church, which can make just walking through the doors a trigger.
Or even just being on the property.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, for some, they can get in and it's fine, and then a ceremony starts and it's just like,
Yeah.
I usually feel fine, even in Mormon church. But when the Mormons start singing their hymns, I often find myself feeling emotional. And I'm not even sure what that emotion is.
What emotion?
I'm not even sure. But it's like they'll start singing a hymn that I used to think was very deep and spiritual or something. And then I'm like, oh, weird. And I'll start to like well up a little bit or something.
It's burning in your bosom, Dan.
It is.
What's the name for the emotion of pure like terror,
revolt,
humor, and dissonance?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's that one. Yeah, you nailed it. But, it doesn't even have to be an event. Sometimes family members or friends will put a ton of pressure on you to just try to get you to their church. Yeah. I just reported this last week on Thank God I'm Atheist about a guy in his 20s, I think I want to say Tennessee, somewhere in the U.S. South, that came out to his family as being gay about a year ago. His family hasn't helped. You'll be shocked to learn they weren't entirely thrilled about this revelation. They asked him to come to church, and he, wanting to be kind and wanting to be sort of wanting to offer an olive branch, he and his partner went to church,
and they got attacked, right? Yeah,
and they were attacked physically.
In
the middle of the sermon, the pastor decided to pray, and had a whole bunch of the parishioners gather around them in a circle.
No
and he started to
way.
pray directly at them, asking God to please make them see what shitty, awful people they were for being gay.
And they prevented them from leaving.
Well, his partner managed to escape, but they held him down in the church, and apparently one guy hit him, and he was and literally they held him down and prayed at him. And obviously it worked, and now he's straight, so that's good.
And again, like President Nielsen, it's for love. It's out of love.
It's all out of
right. If that's the way I go, if that's how I die, it will not convince me in the existence of God, but it will convince me in the existence of the devil.
Yeah, I mean, that's a more believable entity, but neither of them are real. Unfortunately, humanity's just shitty like that sometimes. So what do we do when we're invited or pressured or commanded to go to church by friends or loved ones?
Well, it's a super tough one, and I would like to just, as the resident homosexual, I would like to just say something about that last anecdote you brought up, Dan, about the couple being attacked in church for the crime of trying to be nice and keep the peace with their family.
Right.
For a lot of people, church is not a safe place, and it's not just physical. I cannot go back. I cannot physically walk back into a Mormon church property because, I can go to Temple Square because it's a laugh and everything. But I can't go to a normal ward house because of the incredible amount of emotional violence that was done to me there, right?
Yeah.
It is triggering. I'm one of those people you were talking about.
Yeah.
And so for people in the LGBTQI spectrum, for a lot of women, church is not a safe space. And so expecting them to go to that place is cruel, and you need to check your shit before you just make a blanket demand of those people. So that's kind of one notion.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I will say this, I doubt that there are that many believers who are listening to us and wondering if they should invite their people.
I don't think that's
so. What we're going to be talking.
Do you know what, guys? There's a few.
There are a few.
Yeah, there are a few, and I hear from that.
And they need to hear this. But I'm going to speak directly to the people who are being invited / coerced to come to church. And I thought I'd write. It's not. I figured I'd sort of write up a bit of a flow chart. It's not much of a thing, but it'll spur some conversation, some thought.
Yeah.
So let's go through a few things. Some questions to ask yourself. First off, do the people who are inviting you to church know that you don't believe? Because that's an important thing. If you've kept it from them, you're going to have a different experience, but it's something that's probably pretty important. If not everyone feels safe or it's not always safe to come out as atheists to people.
No.
But if it is at all safe, it's probably worth doing. Because if they're inviting you to church, now here's the thing. If they do know that you're that you're a non-believer and they invite you to church, you need to ask yourself some questions there too. You need to ask yourself, why are they inviting me, and will they be respectful of my beliefs if I come?
Yeah.
Obviously, that did not work out so well for the kid in Tennessee.
Right.
No.
But you can actually set expectations before you go. You can have a conversation before you go that is like, I would. If you're inclined to go, you can say things like, I'm glad to participate with you. I'm glad, your son's going, or your daughter's going through this rite of passage, and I love them and I would, want to be there with them. Mm-hmm. However, nothing should be asked of me while I'm there, or what. And that's the next thing I wanted to.
My presence is enough. My presence is enough. I'm going as a family event. I'm not going as a religious event.
Exactly. So my next question is, do you know what's in store? Right. So are you familiar with how the services go, generally speaking? It's okay to ask what to expect. If you don't know, that's fine. Just say, cool, thanks for inviting me to the bar mitzvah. I don't know what those look like. Can you tell me what I should expect, or what might be expected of me?
What is the level of audience participation? I ask that before I go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Do I need my own little round hat?
Including a play that Dan is in.
Yes, indeed.
Which is why I went to the bathroom at opportune moments during the Rocky Horror Show.
Rude. Just rude.
But you were a tour de force. It wasn't you.
Okay. Thank you. The next thing to ask in terms of knowing what's in store is, do you know who will be there? Because it can make a difference who else might be in there. So that can be useful to know. And also, will anything I touched on this, will anything be expected of you that you might not be comfortable with? Because some churches have expect everyone to read aloud from a certain thing. They might expect you to pray. They might expect you to sing.
Oftentimes, Baptist churches will ask the new people to introduce themselves to the congregation.
Exactly, and that can be really uncomfortable. And the people around you might out you, and you need to know that. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You can just say, wave your hand and say hi and whatever. But are they going to come up to you and ask you questions? Because you should know that. That's something that you should know, and then that will be part of your decision making.
Yeah.
And are there participatory like ceremonies?
Yeah.
Am I going to be expected to chant or pass a thing along or whatever? Just know what you're getting yourself into.
What does it cost?
Yeah. Well, there's that
that's
too.
A good question.
Yeah, there's always that moment where the communion plate or the collection plate's going around. It's a very easy thing for me to just hand over.
So
to the
take
next
a
person.
nearly expired coupon with you just in case.
Yeah, exactly. Or an expired one.
Take one of those fake dollars that Christians give servers in restaurants.
Yes.
100% do that.
And it's just got quotes from Christopher Hitchens in it.
Oh my God, we need to start doing that.
Really?
Oh,
Exactly.
Why has that not been a thing?
Right.
Oh, we'll see how many of those we can get into Joel Osteen's collection plates. So then another thing to ask is, how's your mental state?
Yes.
Check in with you. Do you have negative or traumatic associations with that concern you? Will you feel okay there for a while, or will you feel anxious / re-traumatized if you go?
Yeah.
Because that's a valid thing to be at. If your parents are putting a lot of pressure on, but that's where you feel like you'll be, they're putting you in a rough position because you have to choose between rejecting them and feeling shitty. But remember that feeling shitty, that's rejecting you.
Right.
And that is a lot of times parents, I think at some point during the conversation, we're going to come back to the idea that a lot of the people we're talking to in this moment, a huge number of people that are forced to go to church against their will are minors.
Yeah.
Right. And there's right up front, there's not a lot you can do about it. But if you're a minor or you're not, but your family especially is putting a ton, or a spouse or whatever, is putting a ton of pressure on you to go into a place that you are traumatized by going, like I would be, maybe Doug would be. If you're young, I went through this myself. It's just so emotional, and it's so angry, and it's so, you dig your heels in and you try to just, fight your way out of it. Well, maybe there's a different tack you can take, which is all the things Dan was just laying out, right? Check in with yourself, asking what's expected, asking what the outcome is supposed to be. If you can articulate why it is upsetting to you, to the people around you, it may be far more effective than just slamming a door, right? If you can say, I am depressed when I go there. It makes me sad. I feel I feel intellectually violated. I feel...
You can even say things like, look, I'm happy that it's a place of comfort for you, or a place that you feel good, but I feel I felt trauma when I went there, and going back there hurts me in a way that I'm not willing to put myself through.
But I think a lot of the people who would find themselves in this situation, typically they're being asked to go back to the church of their former life,
right,
by people in their current life, and their family and friends. And that's, so I think in a lot of cases they know what to expect.
Yeah. And
that's why they don't want to go. And
right.
That's certainly why I don't want to go. I had, a couple years ago, I had kind of a shitty year, and several people I know died. One girl died in a car wreck. Another guy who worked for me, his daughter died young.
Doug
she was very sick.
Swears he has an alibi for all of these things, but They're not great. They're not watertight. That's all I'm going to say right now. Yeah.
The podcast was my alibi.
Definitely not watertight then.
So, I had to go to the girl who died was Mormon, and so her
family was Mormon.
Her family was Mormon.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pardon me. Yeah. She was raised Mormon. No longer. Her family was. Yeah. So the funeral was in a Mormon church.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, very unnerving, and I didn't like it, but I felt very obligated to go. The young girl who died, was her parents were Catholic and Hispanic, and that was held in a Hispanic Catholic church.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I thought, very moving. So not all churches are the same. And so, I mean, they're all obviously, but just to put a little piece down, one of the things that I find so hard about, especially going to, say, a Mormon church or a J-Dub or an evangelical church, is that when you walk into those churches as a non-member or a potential member, it's like you just walked into the office of a timeshare salesman off the street.
Yeah.
They are they want you so bad.
They may descend on you. They may, and a lot of the times the covert reason that they want you to come
exactly
is because they want to bring you back to the fold.
So come to the baptism, come to the confirmation, or whatever. But really, we're just trying to get you in the building.
Right.
Yeah.
And to some extent, laying down a boundary of I would like to come. Here is how I'm willing to participate.
Right.
Here's how I'm not willing to participate, and and here are behaviors that you could do that would that would inevitably make sure that I will never come to another thing again.
Or just in a more absolutist sense, here is why I cannot come.
Right, and that's absolutely fair.
And it's absolutely fair, and I think that this is not a one size fits all sort of thing. There is value to keeping the peace in a family, right?
Sure.
But you have to outweigh the family peace against your own health and against your own, freedom. Yeah. You have to figure that out and lay that out. So,
and a lot of this is about that. It may be that you can't go to stuff now, but you may do some work. You may do some work on yourself and. So, deal with some of your past traumas, and then you may find later in life that you're capable of going, and it's fine. It's like nothing has to be a hard and fast rule, or you can make a hard and fast rule. This is your life.
Yep.
You get to live it your way, and you don't owe anybody you going to church, or you hurting yourself, or you traumatizing yourself, or you feeling even gross or shitty or whatever it is you feel. You don't owe that to anybody.
No, and the people who are asking you to go, they don't know it. Maybe they do, but I don't think they do. They don't know the gravity of what they're actually asking.
No.
And so, you do. We all know that when someone asks us to go to church and we really have to consider it, it's like, it's emotionally stressful. It's physically draining. It's like asking someone to help you move, right? Yeah. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I can say no to that. And say, I'm sorry, I just don't have it in me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And they need to understand what they've asked you.
I actually feel like it's a much higher moral imperative to help people to move than it is to go to anybody's church. Anyway,
we have a friend who was another podcaster, a Mormon guy, former Mormon guy, who discovered he was an atheist in his mid-20s, who came to that conclusion in his mid-20s. And his wife couldn't even hear it, right? She could not even begin to have the conversation. So if I remember correctly, he sat in church with her every Sunday for 6 more years.
Yeah.
Until she finally was willing to have the conversation. And that's that he valued his relationship, and she was the mother of his first child at that point. And he valued all of that above his own kind of mental health and time and well-being. And I that seems a bit crazy to me, but I also think it's very admirable. Now she's completely out of it. They're a happy family. They're not bothered by this bullshit anymore. But he went through a hell of a lot to preserve that.
And that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about you discerning your own values and what's of use to you and what's not of use to you and what's of value to you. Because, look, saying, no, thank you, I'm not going to go to your church is not the same as saying, I reject you.
Right.
Now, there's a danger that they will take it that way. Family members are notorious for associating a rejection of their religion as a rejection of themselves, and that's going to be something that, you know, is tricky and can be difficult waters to navigate. Nevertheless, you know, it's pretty important to be able to honor yourself and who you are. Not everybody in this world has that luxury, and that's a tragedy. But most of us do, even if there is a cost. The people that you the people that you love, what am I trying to say? If they would reject you, if they would reject you because you couldn't go to their thing or whatever, and you decided to hide who you are because you fear that rejection, well, then you're participating in that rejection.
Right.
You're
participating in their abuse.
You're participating in that. They don't get to know you, so they don't even. So the person that they're not rejecting isn't even you. You're not giving them you to reject. So if you can do it, I'm 100% on board with like just being as open and honest as you can. Here's who I am. Here's why I believe what I believe. If you're interested, and if you're not, I'm still going to be me, and we're going to have to navigate that together. We can, and I think actually, if you bring people into partnership with you in navigating these things, that can be nice too. They don't always do it, but it's a possible.
I think sometimes you've got to, you know, if you're being asked to go to church by someone in your family or friend group, I'm guessing it's not an isolated case. I'm guessing it's a persistent, constant, hey, you should come, you should come, you should come. Sometimes it really helps to lay down some lead and say, I don't go because I don't think that homosexuality is evil, and I can't be in a place where people who think that gather.
You often have to push back harder than you're comfortable with, because when that is the main focus of their being, they can't ever. Your humanity is so secondary to their missionary zeal. So you occasionally, and I'm not saying be shitty to people, but occasionally you really have to push. You have to leave a mark for them to understand that stop this. I'm not okay with your constant pestering about this.
Yeah, the thing that you're doing to me now is hurting me and damaging our relationship.
And yes, driving me away from you. So it
tends to be effective when you push back a little harder than you normally would.
Yeah,
it does tend to work.
Yeah, prepare for them to act incredibly hurt
and indignant and whatever. Yeah. And you know and stick to your guns. You can do it gently or you can do it hard. You need to sort of solve all these riddles for yourself because only you know your relationships.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think the long and the short of it is, it's okay to go back to church. That's fine. You know, you can go like our friend did. You can go to church every day, every week for years.
6 years, yeah.
As a non-believer, and that's fine. It's also perfectly okay to never set foot in a church again.
Yeah.
Let's take 2 seconds and talk a little bit to our young listeners, who we have quite a few of, who are kind of stuck, right? And see what advice we can give them, because I think, you know, for me, it was agony in the years and years and years after I had left emotionally. You know, I was done with Mormonism. I still had to go I had to go to church for 8 years, you know, every Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was tough. And unfortunately, from a legal perspective, you don't have a lot of ways out of it.
Yeah,
if
they
this
can make
is your
you do
situation. They can make you do it. So I think my advice is going back to what I was talking about a little bit earlier, which is really try to articulate, you know, if you're safe enough to have a conversation with your parents, and you may not be. You need to judge how safe you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. If losing a roof, if not going to church means you lose a roof over your head, go to fucking church.
Yeah, just do it. You can survive it. It gets better afterwards.
It does get better.
Get out of the house as soon as you can, and then you can have the conversation.
Yep.
But if you can have the conversation, if you trust your parents not to kick you out of the home, you can have that conversation. That's up to you to
try to make it not so emotional, and try to make it, and it's hard. Make it more intellectual. Tell them why it hurts, right? And see how they respond.
Well, except what you don't want to do is make it intellectual in the sense of like, Don't try to convince them of your position, because that's going to fail. That's going to be
right.
If you go into it argumentative, if you go into it with here's all of the reasons why what you believe is stupid and wrong,
forget it.
Yeah. What you need to say is here's the reason why this hurts me personally, and why I can't connect to it.
Well,
just speak your truth, not the truth, but your truth.
And I do have a little piece of advice for those listeners that we have, or people who know people in the situation, are too young to stop going, are forced to go. They have no choice. You have to go. I do have a little advice there. You're going to be in this church for a period of time, and one day you will be able to leave.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you can have a positive effect by speaking out against something that's really egregious, or asking a question. I don't mean to get into a fight. I don't mean to question everything in every class. But someday someone else might look back at some question you asked or comment you made or correction, and that might be the seed that helps them find their way out. Yeah. So while you're stuck in hell, see if you can, if somebody says something shitty about a gay person or a woman or a minority or children in cages on the border, if you can at least articulate that that's not accepted by everybody, you might actually have some positive effect that one day will bear fruit.
Because I'll bet you're not the only one in that room that doesn't want to be there.
Right.
Or there's the other possibility, which is if you push back just hard enough, you could get kicked out of church and never invited back. So maybe there's light at the end of that tunnel too. Sorry, Mom and Dad, I can't go back. They won't let me.
Yeah.
Hit us up on Twitter and let us know what happened.
Yeah, right. And don't blame us when it happens.
Yeah. But be super careful. Protect yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And play the long game. It may be that you've just got to put up with this for, I know it seems like an eternity, a couple more years. And when your freedom comes, it's going to be insanely sweet. But play the long game, stay safe, and get out intact.
And for everybody, just remember that your first responsibility is to you.
Hey, and while you're at it, guys, remember, steal toilet paper. Just every time you go to church, take a couple rolls of toilet paper.
That shit's free.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Or do an upper decker. I'm not going to explain what it is. Google it. It's a beautiful. It's performance art. It's just art.
Oh my God!
Do it for love.
Okay, we have devolved, and I think that's the time to move on.
All right, let's move on.
Well, friends, that is it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you think you can top Doug's Mormon hierarchy Dark Crystal references, you can tell us about it at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986. I'm also on Twitter at HowToHeretic.
Yeah, tweet to us from church. Anyway,
yes, please. Yeah. Please fucking do.
Yo, totally. And thanks and love to our awesome patrons.
And thanks to Cody Layton for editing the show.
You did it. And thank you, friends, for tuning in.
Bye, friends.
Bye.